faculty at the Nigerian University of Technology and Management and serves as country and regional lead, Sub-Saharan Africa, for the CSR company, a global CSR network of organizations spanning 4 continents: Southeast Asia, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. She served as Executive Secretary of Women in Management and Business, that's WIMBIS, between 2009 and 2011. In 2010, she founded Nigeria's foremost sustainability, CSR, and management consulting firm, Thistle Praxis Consulting Limited, TPC. She later served as the lead consultant and CEO of TPC for 9 years before stepping down in 2020 to make way for a new CEO. Her career trajectory also includes consulting positions with the Women, Gender and Development Directorate of the African Union, the African Center for Gender and Development within the UN Economic Commission, that's UNECA, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. As a pioneer executive director of Defense for Children International, Nigeria section, as well as curating the Africa CEO Roundtable and Conference on Corporate Sustainability and Responsibility, ARCSR, for 8 years, 2011 to 2018. A member of the Council for the Development of Social Science Research in Africa, CODESRE, and the Chartered Institute of Directors. Ini is a researcher and sits on several boards within the private and development sectors, the chair of the Governance Committee on 2 boards, and consults for many organizations, public agencies, and state governments. Ini has a track record of developing and implementing innovative strategies. She has actively developed and curated subnational election strategies, promoted sustainability and ESG strategies and projects, implemented business strategies for expansion purposes, and ensured risk management practices across various programs and projects. Referred to as Madam Fixer, I love this, and recognized as a solutions provider and thought leader in our field, Ini is results-oriented and has a proven track record of consistently exceeding set objectives. Ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that we are all in a great treat today. I am personally thrilled by the inspiring profile of our speaker, and I consider it a great pleasure and an honor to moderate this session today. So grab your notepads, get your questions ready, and let's dive in. Mrs. Ini, Madam Fixer, good afternoon, ma'am. We are eager to hear your insights on sustainable leadership, balancing profits, people, and planet. Please, ma'am, you can take the floor.
Thank you so much, Nnamdi. Thank you. A delight to see you physically. And thank you, everyone. I see all the messages. Thank you, everyone, and welcome. It's a delight to really be doing this with RBSN. I'm a student at RBSN as well. We are the first cohort of the DBA, Doctorate in Business Admin, and we are almost done, but it's a very stressful program. I'm just trying to recuperate after having to finish research for my research article, because we're supposed to publish 2 research articles as part of our program, and it's not been funny. I accepted to do this because it's RBSN. It's a delight to be here. Sustainability is my baby. I can confidently say that the conversations around sustainability, I started that conversations at the very beginning, talking about sustainability and being one of the few consultants that worked with the IFRS when they started working with the banking sector back when Sanusi Lamido Sanusi was the CBN governor, and when the banking sector needed to put together what we now know as the sustainable banking principles. So I was one of the consultants that was also able to work with them in contextualizing it for the Nigerian market, because what they had as experience was for the South African market. And like I said to a lot of people, unfortunately, our C-suite executives, a lot of our top people always think that if the person is not an Oyibo, they only take Oyibos to do those technical things. But The Nigerian market is different, and most of the Europeans and YTs are beginning to realize that they don't understand the Nigerian market. It is different from just being in sub-Saharan Africa. Our economic indices, our political climate, and a lot of other things are different. And so it's important that when we talk about sustainability, we talk about even sustainable leadership, we also want to be able to contextualize that for the Nigerian market. So I'm hoping that today's conversations, as sustainable leaders as all of you are, that we will have a good conversation. I'm willing to take as many questions as I can as the time permits. So I'll just share my screen and then we'll go right into it. Okay, so I'm sure everybody can see my screen. Is it good enough? Nnamdi, if you can see it, I'm sure everybody can see it. So just say hey. Okay, I can't see the charts, but okay.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Okay, great. All right. So we'll just go right into this. Yeah. So we'll be talking about sustainable leadership, driving global business with people, profit, and planet. And what I've tried to do is really focus on what does sustainable leadership mean, and what that means for the sustainability space, what that means for the conversation on sustainability, and what that also means even for people, profit, and planet, because one of the constant issue that comes up when I train C-suite executives, that is CEOs and board of corporations, is the conversation around the business case for sustainability. And I always say to them, look, we need to move beyond the business case for sustainability. The world is already speaking around ESG and what that means for the investment market. And then a lot of listed companies are now mandatorily having to report, well, at least voluntarily now, but at some point, with what the Federal Reporting Council is doing, it will become mandatory for listed companies to begin to give their sustainability report, whether it's integrated reporting or whether it's reporting according to the FIRS standards 1 and 2. So this conversation is timely, it's important, and I'm glad that the executive students are beginning to think about it. So let's define some of the key concepts that we know. So sustainability, is anybody saying anything? I was hearing anybody saying something?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Okay. So sustainability, we define sustainability as meeting present needs without compromising the needs of future generations to meet their own needs. Meeting present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. I have my own definition of sustainability, and I say that I define sustainability as value. Value upon which the resources that are required to maintain the system. So sustainability for me is value. And we can also see it in this definition. It's a meeting present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So what are we doing and how are we managing, whether it's the planet, whether it's profit, whether it's people, in such a way, and the resources, whether it's natural or human resources, without compromising, so we don't finish up everything and then our children don't meet anything. And I want you to think about it in the context of Nigeria, the context of what is going on in Nigeria right now. Are we a sustainable country? And I want us to think about it without any, it's not about politics. It's not about who is got president. It's the reality. Tell yourself the truth. Ask yourself that question. So if I ask you, is Coca-Cola a sustainable entity? What would you say? This is interactive, so anybody can just answer. Is Coca-Cola a sustainable entity? I'm looking at the chat box because I want to see the answers. Yes. Well, somebody says no. Oh, wow. Okay. So great. So Coca-Cola is a sustainable entity. This is a company that has been over 100 years old and is still creating value. So remember I said I like to define sustainability as value. So they are still creating value. As long as an entity is still creating value, it's still competitive. And in the light of business, we normally will say that without compromising cash flow, because once you have a problem with your cash flow, you are not a sustainable entity. And once you are no longer creating value, you are no longer a sustainable entity. Okay, let me ask you another question. We are still in definitions. Is Onward Paper Mill a sustainable entity? As if some of you in this generation know that. Onward Paper Mill. How many of us know that? Okay, great. So why? Why? Can somebody tell me in the chat? Why is Onward or Bata? Bata. How many of us remember Bata? That later became Famac. So why? No longer adding value, it has folded up, lost to tech and new inventions. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you see, as long as you're not creating value that meets the trends, value that meets the present needs, value that can also meet the future needs, then you are not a sustainable entity. So I'm glad we all understand it. I can see that from the chat box and your comments. Now we define leadership as the act of influencing others. It's not just influence, but influencing others to achieve a common goal, particularly one that benefits the greater good. Influencing others to achieve a common goal that benefits a greater good. So when you balance sustainability and leadership, you want to ask yourself, am I a sustainable leader? So that's one of the questions you need to ask yourself. And it's not just about answering for the sake of answering. You have to take complete stock of everything that you do. So in defining sustainable leadership, we say that it transcends traditional profit-centric models. And this is looking at it in the concept of business. It transcends traditional profit-centric models by prioritizing a positive impact on the environment and society. It integrates environmental, social, and economic considerations, acknowledging their interconnectedness. So the environment is not standing on its own. The social issues are not standing on their own. Economic issues are not standing on their own. And if we were to use Nigeria as if I was having a workshop with you and we wanted to workshop it, and we say that how do we interconnect environmental, social, and economic considerations in using Nigeria as a case study? So I'll give you an example. How many of you saw the video going on yesterday about the flood on Maryland Bridge? Was it that's Odo Yalaro Bridge? How many of us saw the videos? Now, if you saw that video, I want you to just say in the comment box, I want you to link environmental, social, and economic considerations just by using that flood. Very quickly, 2-3 people. Executive MBA students. Link it to show the interconnectedness of whatever is happening in our environment has social implications and has economic considerations as well. How will you frame it? If I gave you that as an exam, because that's one exam question I had given to my MBA class. Using a trending issue as a case study, show the interconnectedness of environmental, social, and economic considerations. I can't see anybody, or nobody has answered. Oh, where is it? Has somebody answered? Yes, sustainability has a continuous measurement. As long as they're not creating value that meets both present. Absolutely, absolutely. It has three implications. The ongoing projects that are not planned accordingly. Reduction of life for people in that area, affected business activities. Yeah, it's deprived movements of economic activities. The flood created traffic and a hike in transportation prices, impact on business. The project in that region did not do their impact assessment. Well, okay, great. Okay, so if this was an exam question, is 0, all these ones that I'm seeing, 0/100. The interconnectedness, so an environmental issue. I think some of you are just getting it in bits and pieces. So what I need you to do is give me a sentence. An environmental issue of flood on Odoyalaro Bridge created impact, not just on the infrastructure, of course, already that has an infrastructure problem. And yes, it has a health risk exposure, but how do you link all of them together? I need you to understand, because as leaders, okay, affected the environment through the flood, reducing the quality of the road, economy was affected due to people's movements being impeded, while the social aspect was impeded due to networking and relationship. Okay, yeah, all right, access to move and business. Okay, so let's take it as this. You have all tried, but you have not been able to link it. So if this, Pearl, you want to say something? Pearl, you want to say something? Mama.
Yes, I want to. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay,
Yeah,
speak up.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if you could respond.
Sorry? I didn't get that. Okay, so in integrating environmental, social, and economic considerations in a case of the flooding on Odoalaro Bridge. Pearl, are you still speaking? I get distracted when I seem to hear voices.
Ma'am, please, you can continue, please.
Okay. Time loss, which invariably created a negative. So great. Who is this person? Good. Environmental impact of flooding on a major road created social issues of stress and time loss due to traffic, which invariably creates negative economic impact, such as loss of revenue and all of that. Excellent. So you have clearly defined it. So when we say an environmental issue, because sometimes people do not realize that environmental issues have social and economic implications. So for flooding on that bridge, for instance, the social implications were that people were not able to ply that road. Vehicles could have been stuck maybe in the flooding and water gotten into that. That's an economic implication. Another economic implication would be that goods and services could not be moved at that time. And there's something called time factor of money, time value of money. So if we were to plot this as a full exam question that has 20 marks, you need to be able to plot it clearly. In terms of environmental, you're going to look at the infrastructural decay. You're going to, so all this idea of, oh, they did not plan well, that has gone. We're saying to us that, yes, Monday morning, between the hours of, say, 10 and 4 p.m., give me the environmental, social, and economic considerations. And so you're going to look at the number of people. So you take an artificial indices of the number of people that typically will use that road. That's Ikorodu Road. That's a high traffic road. That's linking to a big market, my 12 market, linking to a huge transport hub in Ojota. You're also looking at the fact that that's also a connecting road to Lagos-Ibadan Expressway? Are you seeing the multiplier effect? So if you're going to answer this, you're going to see that the interconnectedness, as much as possible, that environmental issues have a linkage to social and economic considerations. And as sustainable leaders, the idea of always thinking about it in that light is important. Because once you are able to think about that, you are going to be able to have a holistic view that helps you to create a holistic impact. So you're not just looking at climate change as climate change. It has economic considerations. It has social implications. You will also look beyond profit to say, what can diminish our profit, something that is not planned, something we didn't plan. The same way that COVID-19, for instance, messed up a lot of corporations, and that had financial implications. And then you will look at, you have long-term vision. You will consider when you are doing your decision-making, so infrastructural development, the way and manner that we need to be able to deal with our environmental issues, the advocacy we need to do for people not to throw trash from their vehicles. All of those things are going to be a holistic decision-making process. I hope that explains it as much as possible. We're still looking at sustainable leadership. Again, just we define sustainability and we define leadership. Now we're looking at the two together. It goes beyond the traditional bottom line. So as sustainable leaders, you need to be able to think beyond the traditional bottom line. Some of you will say, but the board, the directors are always talking about, shareholder funds, shareholder profits, and all of that. But gone are those days where the traditional bottom line worked. It is now all-encompassing. It is an ESG criteria, environmental, social, and governance criteria. There's nothing you can do beyond that because it is clearly defined. The governance is where the profit begins to come. The governance is where the issues around the directors and all of that begins to come. But it has gone beyond the traditional bottom line. Sustainable leadership is about creating long-term value that benefits not only the company, but also its employees, the community, and the environment. So again, that's why I made it bold. It is about long-term value. This form of leadership recognizes that a company's health is intrinsically linked to the well-being of its wider ecosystem. So if your ecosystem is not working, if you do not have the social license to operate, your profit margins will be affected, thereby the health of the company. So again, the interconnectedness of all of those things that we're talking about. And this is just breaking it down to look at the people, the profits, the planet, and all of that. So sustainability looks at those three areas: the economic sustainability, environmental sustainability, and social sustainability. And again, for a sustainable leader, who we call a transformational leader, it is about ensuring that the earth is bearable. We can live in it. It is also saying that you make sure that the value you present is equitable to the people. And then, of course, the economic implications, which will be the cost, is that it is viable at the end of the day. The entity as a business is viable, which means that it is sustainable, it can last, and it is making profits, and it's still creating value. So as sustainable leaders, you need to think about how you create an inspiring vision of the future, how you motivate people to buy into it, how you are also able to deliver that vision. Because if you don't understand it, you cannot get people to buy into it. It is not just enough. So don't be like the typical Nigerian marketer who tries to market things because, hey, it's my bread and butter, I have to be paid for it. You have to believe in that product that you're selling. You have to be able to say the uses of that product. That's what sustainability is. So it's gone beyond just saying, oh, it's a nice to do. It is just CSR and philanthropy. No, it is beyond that. It has to do with your internal and external stakeholders. It has to do with your HR. It has to do with your operations. It has to do with how your systems work. It has to do with your enterprise risk management system. It has to do with the risk appetite of the company. It has to do with governance issues and who are the stakeholders. It has to do with leadership and management. And being able to encompass all of this is what helps you to be able to be a transformational leader at the end of the day. And how do we know, sustainable leaders? They're visionary and they're ethical. I teach a class on ethics. And it's always a fantastic class. I think it's always one of my best classes because I always come up with very fantastic case studies that the argument is to die. I always divide the class into two, one for and one for against. And I have this beautiful case study that is on ethical considerations vis-a-vis profit for the business. And 9 out of 10 times, C-suite executives, especially Nigerians, because I noticed that when I do that same class outside of Nigeria, the ethics always triumph over the profit. But in Nigeria, it is always the profit issue. And that again speaks to the environment within which we operate. But sustainable leaders are people with long-term perspectives and they have very strong moral principles. They're people that are very clear. You know where you stand with them and the business that they run. They're emotionally intelligent. They connect with and motivate their teams that they work in because they want to be able to have people to buy into the vision of a sustainable entity. An entity, all of us, an entity that goes beyond the now, if you know what I mean, and lives longer for, how you say it, our future generation. They're system thinkers and they're people who know how to engage their stakeholders. So, what are the 5 dimensions of sustainable leadership? At the bottom of it, talking about ethical considerations, at the bottom of this pyramid is about your values, your convictions, and your purpose. One of the things that I found out about people who talk about sustainability a lot is that they think it's a nice to do. They still link it to CSR. We do it when the company is making profit. But again, like I said, gone are those days. Those days are gone where we only see sustainability or CSR as a nice to do. It is the DNA of the business. And first of all, as a sustainable, if you must be a sustainable leader, you must understand it clearly that it is the DNA of the business. It is not a nice to have. It's not a nice to do. It is not a do when we can. It is part of the business. It is the reason why the business exists. And so those values that the company operates have to be the foundation of sustainable leadership. You have to be convinced. Your conviction has to show forth. And then there must be purpose in driving that organization as a sustainable entity. So at the bottom is your motivation to lead sustainably with a why that resonates and inspires others. What's your why? When somebody asks you, you are a sustainable leader, but what's your why? You believe in sustainability, what's your why? It's about creating value. It's about creating value. If we can create value, then we make money, and then we also have the social license to operate. And then, of course, we are also seen as viable in the eyes of investors. Sustainable leadership is about systemic understanding, the capacity to see ourselves and our organizations as a part of a larger system. You are not in isolation. If, for instance, what happened in 2020 with COVID-19, when for 4 months, no plane could fly, nothing was happening. You see that as an organization, you are part of a larger system. What happens in the environment will affect you. And so you can't live as if you are an entity on your own without the need for the social license to operate within the communities within which you do business. Another dimension is knowledge. And that's why you find it in the middle. It's there at the heart of sustainable leadership. You must understand the main sustainability facts. You must know those frameworks. You must understand the principles, know the different standards, both locally and internationally. Understand them. It's not just knowing them, understand them. Which one works for which? And then, of course, you need the leadership competences, the ability to understand all of that and lead with it. And then, of course, the managerial practices, what you now do within your organizations that will feed into the end point, which is the profit, and will determine your business outcomes. So this is important at the end of the day. Again, looking at a sustainable leadership model. This is by the sustainable leaders. So this is what it is. Again, at the foundation is purpose, your personal convictions as a leader. What are your values? What are your belief system? Many of us have been forced to practice sustainable practices in our individual homes by reason of band A, band B, bandit, banda, band aid, and all of that. Because you have to learn to off light. You have to learn to put off things. You cannot leave on your water heater anyhow like before because you pay through your nose. So what are your values? What have you learned? Now, for some of us who've lived outside Nigeria, that mentality, that mindset has been there from us because outside, you use light anyhow, you pay anyhow too. Do you understand what I mean? So learning all of this sustainable values and belief system helps you even as a sustainable leader within your organization. And that's why you find a lot of organizations are going full-blown sustainability. They are installing clapper lights, clapper lights that come on when you walk into a room. And when you go out, after a while, they sense no movement. They go off, sensor lights and all of that in places that they know the traffic is not as high. So some organizations are, but in your individual life. So first of all, being a sustainable leader, it's about purpose. And then, of course, the systemic understanding. Again, just repeating every single thing that we had said in the earlier slides. I saw somebody ask if they'll get the slides. It's not enough to get the slides, and then you don't even look at the slides. Some of you collect slides like you are collecting, I don't know what. It's for you to understand and to engage with the slides. I think that's also very important. So what's the role of leadership in sustainability? Again, remember, we're talking about sustainable leadership, balancing people, profits, and planet. What are the key activities that a leader carries out as part of leadership in sustainability? Change management. Change management is one of it, the ability to look into the organization and determine what are the things that we need to do better or do away with or do more of. It's about collaboration. How do we get different units of the organization to understand that sustainability is not just for the sustainability department. It is how we use paper. It is how we manage electricity within the office. It is how we use resources within the office. It is how we save costs within the office. It's also about strategic orientation. It's about economic orientation. It's about results delivery. It's about team playership. Sustainability practices serves as a strategic differentiator. It's what stands organizations that make it away from those that don't. And so as a leader, some of us think that leadership is about titles. No. Remember the definition of leadership that we said? It's about influencing people to achieve an outcome. That outcome is also good for the greater good of your wider extension. So if you are influencing people in any way, you are a leader. If you have children, you are influencing them. If you are a church pastor, a deacon, or an afa, or even you teach children the Quran, you are a leader. If you are an ESCO in your estate, you are a leader. So how do you influence people to be more sustainable? Sustainability is embedded when every part of the business makes decisions that intelligently weigh the economic, environmental, and social impact on the long-term ability to sustain the business. So So that is leadership in sustainability. Once it is embedded in every single area of the business, then you say that you are leading sustainably. We look here at the importance of sustainability for corporate leadership. We say that corporate sustainability is no longer regulatory compliance. So today I was at an event hosted by the IFRS in conjunction with the Nigerian Stock Exchange, with the Securities Exchange Commission, and a few other stakeholders, Federal Reporting Council of Nigeria, with them this morning. And the idea is, how do we go away from this thing that, oh, sustainability, we're doing it because one, we are a listed company and the Nigerian Stock Exchange demands that listed companies have to give their sustainability report. To it being that this is good for our business. This stands us out differently. This makes us to be, what's the word? Attractive to both local and international investors. This is about building the legacy of this business beyond who the current owners are. So we need to look at it like that. A McKinsey study, which I've shown the diagram here, the result of the survey, it says that 43% of global CEOs seek to align sustainability with their overall business goals. So whether it's in sustainable products and services, whether it's in their business practices, whether it's in stakeholder management. And I must say that for the banking sector, this is a core part of the sustainable banking principles. So not just products and services, also business practices, business operations. And I worked with so many banks in putting together a sustainability strategy, and we had to look through every single policy that the bank had, because it was not just enough to hand it over to the, because CBN insisted that you needed to understand it, whether it's in your credit risk analysis, whether it is in your credit extension in terms of giving out loans, you needed to understand that there were elements of sustainability in every single part of it. So sustainability is strategic, it is beyond compliance, and is an integral part of every CEO's long-term agenda. If you want to work for a business that is resilient, a business that stands the test of time, a business that keeps being valuable, you must think sustainability at the end of the day. Okay, these are just names. I want to see if there's any comment. Okay, some of these questions, I think you will have to bring them up later so that they don't fall down. I can see some of the questions. I want to take questions at the end so that we don't take much time. But Anunga, I see your question. It would be nice if you could keep it. I wish that there's a way to highlight it. Keep it, and then I will take it later. Okay, so just wanted to be sure that we're dealing with that. Okay, again, just looking at what the indices says, Gartner predicts 70% of enterprises adopting Gen AI will cite sustainability and digital sovereignty as top criteria for selecting between different public clouds. So whether it is in information technology, whether it is in the buying, mergers and acquisitions, whether it is in investor relations, whether it's in asset management, whether it's in whatever it may be, irrespective of the sector, sustainability is a top criteria. So it's no longer a nice to do, it is a must do. And it's important, that we all understand that. So now we look at the balancing act of the people, profit, and planet. So I want to ask a question. Why do we put people first before profit and planet? Can anybody share an understanding of that? Is there a reason? Why is it not profit, planet, people, or planet, profit, people? In the real context of the word, A lot of people mix it up together. Even RBSN, they put it anyhow on this thing. But in the real act, we normally say people, profit, and planet. Why is that so? Anne, want to go ahead? Anne, you raised your hand. Okay. I'm checking through the chat. Has anybody said it? Okay. People are the center of everything. People drive profits and sustain the planet. Absolutely. People, I like that. People drive profit and sustain the planet. I like that. I like that. People are the drivers for planets. People are the drivers of profit and creatures. People are, yes. There are no people, we won't be talking of profit and planet. People will first be affected by what we do as individuals and organizations. Without people, there won't be profit. Excellent. So you all understand it. It's important that you understand it because many a times we always mix it up. It's important that you understand that it will always be people. It is people that drive profit. It is people that live on the planet. People are the heart of the organization. They are the heart of the planet. They are the heart of profit. And so we say that the first pillar of sustainable leadership is people. As leaders, you must learn to prioritize the development, well-being, and engagement of your people. And this includes sustainability. So when we talk about sustainability, we say that it is just beyond long term. So before now, when you say a business is sustainable, people say, oh, it's been around for a long time. It is beyond that. An organization can be around for a long time, but it cannot be said to be a sustainable entity in the entire world. It might still struggle in certain areas. How many of you remember NASCO? NASCO biscuits, king of biscuits, NASCO biscuits for your flavor. How many of you are as old as that song? Are there old people in this class? How many of us? Yes. Okay, NASCO biscuits. Good. So NASCO biscuit used to produce the most beautiful malted biscuits I have ever eaten in my life. And they were not imported. But after a while, they suffered quite a lot of things. They suffered cash flow issues. They suffered logistics and distributional issues. They were in jaws. And they had to send their products across the country. As the road infrastructure got worse, damaged, their vehicles got damaged, they could not control it as much as possible, and all of that and all of that. Not exactly wafers too. And you know, over a period of time, we do not identify as old. Good, Jare. No, we're there's a way there's a way that they mention it. Gen X. Are there any bloomers in the room? Are there bloomers in the room? Some of us are bloomers. Okay, so they couldn't maintain, and after a while, NASCO kind of semi-died. And they came back with their NASCO conflicts and all of that. But you also know exactly they suffer sustainability issues. So a lot of issues go wrong. And when that happens, you find out that when the people are no longer productive and value is no longer created, the business cannot be sustained. So people are at the heart of the organization. You need to foster a positive workplace culture. Many of us are badly behaved people and we take it to the workplace. You don't know how to talk. You think that, hey, I'm not here to be anybody's friend. I'm here to do my work. And then, of course, you are very hostile in the workplace. You have no boundaries. You can't be a leader. Leaders must create an environment where diversity is celebrated and every person's voice is important. Even if the person constantly says rubbish things, in the midst of nonsense, there's always small sense. So you must allow people. You must be able to invest in employee development and you must be able to create work-life balance. Now, work-life balance is an issue that a lot of people always have conversations in. I say that I don't believe in work-life balance. Yes, same thing with Okin Biscuits. Okin, the factory in Ogbomoso was, you know, it's so sad, but this is the reality that we see in terms of the sustainability issues. Someone said, what's your question? Was the verdict of NASCO a result of a case study? I think that over a period of time, yes, that was a result of a case study over a period of time. After some time, they came back on with the NASCO conflict. They're still struggling. Mind you, remember that Kellogg's has opened a factory in Nigeria, producing the Nigerian version of Kellogg's conflict. So again, where more funded competitors come into the market, it also creates problem for an entity that is already struggling, as it were, and all of that. Exactly. You know, someone said, you know, they got involved in a lot of things that they shouldn't have gotten involved in, and all of that. So I think that, you know, we also need to understand that various factors, it could be anything. Yes, I hear someone says it can be an indictment without a competent court. So a lot of things. I mean, people will hear different things of why a business went down. The truth of the matter will always be that the business is no longer a sustainable entity. Here we're talking about business, and we're not talking about what they did and what they didn't do wrong, but we're saying that from an outsider perspective, from a stakeholder perspective, will you consider this business a sustainable business? So those are some of the issues that we want to talk about. And then, of course, so I was saying work-life balance, recognizing that I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life integration. The concept around work-life balance means that, you know, when you're outside of work, work doesn't exist. As you go higher as a leader, yes, you must be able to create a balance in some way, being able to have your vacation time, being able to have those times when you're able to sleep. But unfortunately, if you become an entrepreneur, a Nigerian entrepreneur, and start a business the way I started a business 15 years ago, you see my white hair, you will grow old before your time. There's no sleep for the wicked. You cannot sleep. When you're thinking of salary and the client is calling you, in fact, they're not calling your staff, they're calling you, the owner. You will say work-life balance. You will integrate. You are eating while you are working. You are checking on your children while you are in the office. So how far? Remove the soup from the freezer. Okay, warm the okra. When you warm it, it is integration. There's no balancing anything. As when you get higher and higher, you will know that life is different. You think Dangote has work-life balance? He integrates everything, join all together, and do it according to your power and strength. But the message is, we must recognize that people are the heart of the organization. So the next slide is about profit. How do we drive sustainable growth? It's about achieving financial success through ethical and sustainable practices. So it will involve long-term planning, it will involve ethical business practices, and innovative solutions. For a business to be sustainable, you must continually innovate. It is innovate or die. It is innovate or die. One of the issues that companies like NASCO, Okin Biscuits, the Onward Paper Mills, Bata, is that, in fact, if you look at things like BlackBerry, the BlackBerry phone, it is about innovation, constantly innovating. That's why you see Samsung is innovating every single day. The Android solution is going. Apple is always there. I hear Apple 17 is out. iPhone 17, for those of you that have a problem with the back of your phone, iPhone 17 is about to come out. So you can also go either buy the back cover or buy a new phone. Since that is the reason why you have phone, I'm just saying they are innovating, they are making money, and you are spending the money for them. But they will keep going on even when the founder of Apple has died. Why? Because they keep innovating. So profit is tied to innovation. And in this day of technology, you must constantly, as a business leader, be thinking of different ways to innovate. What else can we do? If you run an event center, what else can we do differently as events, as an event center, to draw the customers, to make the people that use our event centers to think, oh my God, this is different. What else would you do? Even if you have a car wash, what would you do differently with technology? I saw a car wash that, this one we have in America where you drive in, you are inside the car, it washes your car, it dries it up, and then you drive out and you swipe your card to pay. How do you keep innovating to ensure that you're driving sustainable economic growth? Remember, like I said, sustainability is about value creation. The planet, it is about being committed to environmental stewardship. Without our planet, where will we live? So we must always think about it. For some of you that never think about your dustbin in front of your house, all the dustbin, you put it there and it falling inside the gutter. When they say, Madam, Oga, please clear the gutter in front of your house, you will start fighting with your neighbors. How are you a sustainable leader? So you must know that you have to practice sustainability first before you can say you are a sustainable leader. So whether it's in your individual lives, whether it's in your business, it is a commitment. Reduce environmental impact. You need to be able to minimize waste. I like the fact that Tinubu is making us minimize waste because the economy is not smiling, and people are becoming a bit more how to manage. The hunger in the country is not for children. And so you must begin to think, how do I conserve resources? Not just financial resources, but even the other resources so that I can have it for longer. That is sustainability. And then you must be able to promote sustainability. For those of you in organizations, one of the questions I normally ask, one of the gap analysis we do when we go into organizations before we begin to do their sustainability strategy is, how are you handling your supply chain? Do you have a supply chain sustainability code for all your vendors? Do they understand where you stand? But if you don't have a strategy, how would you communicate that to your vendors? Do you train your suppliers and your vendors? Do they understand where you stand on some issues? And then, of course, being able to engage in corporate social responsibility. Again, this is clearly looking at social license to operate. How are you engaging the community within which your businesses exist? And how are you managing such? There are quite a number of challenges when we talk about embedding sustainability, especially for leaders. Your top management, if they don't understand, your board, your ESCO, if they do not understand sustainability, they cannot see it as a business case. So we normally will say that if we come into your organization, when we give you a proposal, all of our proposals always include training your board, your ESCO, your management, and then we do departmental trainings. Letting each department know how they feed in and fit in into the conversations around sustainability. Because some department will say, I don't want no concern us now. We are just drivers. Our own is, they'll buy for inside the car, we put it on. Do you understand carbon emissions? Do you understand how to calculate how many miles 4 liters of fuel can take you? What does that mean? If you change to CNG, what will that mean? So by the time you have this conversation, a lot of people are like, oh, wow, I didn't even realize that. I had a hand in it. Even the PR and the marketing people, there's something we call sustainable marketing. I teach a class on sustainable marketing. It's looking at sustainability from a different lens. So every single department feeds into this. There's also the inability of leaders to draw a connection between the financials and sustainability. So they don't understand the business case. What is in it for us? How do we make money with this? I like it because then I am able to sell this to you. So part of the challenges is that if you don't understand it, you also cannot sell it. There's a direct linkage to your bottom line, particularly for the FMCG, for instance. It is so clear. For even the banking sector, it is so clear because what is happening in the banking sector now? Again, banks are buying banks. What do you think is happening? It's about the financials and the ability for sustainability, for this organizations to be sustainable over a period of time. Their books show that if we were to draw this in the next 5 to 10 years, we are not going to be sustainable. So what happens? A bigger bank will buy you over. You know what I mean? Okay, sorry, I'm just reading your comments so that I know what to feed on. Excellent. Okay, I see all the questions, but you need to take note of them and bring it up when we're done. We'll soon be done. So again, there's also a knowledge deficit. A lot of people understand the periphery of sustainability. They don't understand sustainability as a serious conversation, as a business conversation. ESG, they don't understand it. They don't understand the criteria. They don't understand what investors are looking for. They don't understand even how to prepare yourself as an ESG compliance organization, even without investors looking into you, but making you a what we call a global best practice. A lot of people still don't understand it. So there's still a huge knowledge deficit. And then resistance to the acceptance of method to embed sustainability. You know, a lot of people think it's extra work, but it's not, because again, it is all about understanding what it entails. And I'm glad that you all are taking this class, because you strategies, again, looking at people, planet, and profit. Top-down approach. From the top, the board must understand it. The management must understand it. There has to be some level of change management that is driven by passion from the leadership. You want to inform, you want to inspire, you want to implement, and you want to institutionalize. If sustainability is not institutionalized, you find out that over a period of time, you end up like those organizations that have gone down. How many of us remember one organization? Because I'm a researcher and I teach these classes, and when we talk about sustainability, you also want to be able to have case studies. How many of us remember Abimbola, one of the biggest indigenous companies? How many of us remember it? Abimbola. How many of us remember that company? Have you ever heard of anything like it? You can Google and read about it. Abimbola. You know what I mean? Talk about Mr. Biggs, Mr. Biggs. You know, you can talk about that in your class and let that be their assignment. So go and read up about Abimbola and how that business, never heard of it. Oh my God. How old are you? So, you know, Google it and read up about Abimbola. Institutionalizing strategies, institutionalizing things like sustainability is a key issue. And that's why you have companies like UAC. That's just if you want to see the difference when I use the word white people start up a business, run it over a period of time, you can see the difference from when a black man starts a company and does not take cognizance of the things that need to be taken. You see a UAC. Can you imagine a UAC buying over a company that Coca-Cola had bought, which is Chivita, or what do they call them? It shows you that the embedding and institutionalizing of certain things have been in place. Now, some parts of those business may still have struggle, may have problems, may still be up and down and all of that. But it also shows you that there are already some level of institutionalization. And that's why you see the rebirth of Gala, if you know what I mean. The rebirth of Gala. Gala was changed. You know, now they're trying to do it better. There's more meat inside Gala like we used to know. I've not had the liver to try the new one, but I will, because as a researcher, I want to be able to write a case study about it. So another part of it is being able to link measurable key result areas, KRAs, key result areas to sustainability. So in our products and services, what are our key results area? What shows that we're making it? We've crossed over the profit line, or we've crossed into the profit line. What will determine that our products are top of mind in the market? What's our TOMA? What sells for us? What are our financials looking at? What product gives us, or what service gives us the edge? if you know what I mean. And then being able to ensure that, you know, your entire system understands how, yes, Abosseldehide, Abossedel. There should be a L before the hide. Delhyde. That's the spelling. Abosseldehide. I'm a millennial. I'll read about it. Yes, Abosseldehide PLC. Yes, they were quoted. So you honestly need to read about it. Look, as executive students, I always like to say I'm an information junkie. You need to eat up information. That's what will stand you out as a different leader. You need to, wherever institution you are, the sector you play in, you must understand that sector like crazy. That is it. Somebody has put it here. Consumer staples. Thank you for putting this up. You know, so these are some of the things that we need to be able to. Someone said no meat inside. Stop spoiling gala for me. I want to taste it. Stop spoiling it on my behalf. So yes, so that's some of the things that we can look at as leaders. So let's look at a few case studies. Unilever, and the case study is really looking at the role of a leader in driving sustainability as a business model. So it's not just necessarily the company as a sustainability case study, but the role of a leader, because we're looking at sustainable leadership. So we look at Paul Polman, and if you've really read the story of Unilever and how they've been able to use sustainability to their own advantage, if as an outsider, will I have a lot of issues to raise? Absolutely. I mean, it's normal, but Unilever has really done well as a top company in the FMCG space, and they have traction, if you will, and a trajectory that they can use to say, this is how far that we've gone. So they've integrated sustainability into their core strategy. And that's the heart of it. Sustainability has to go into your business model. It has to be part of your business model. How you do business, it has to be part of it from day one. So they have been able to reduce carbon footprint across their global operations. They've achieved 100% sustainable sourcing for key agricultural raw materials. And then they've done very huge work, even in the water space. Just like Coca-Cola is doing, they've also done a lot of work also empowering women in the supply chain. So clearly, it is about a leadership that pushes the company to do better. And that's why leadership is so important. The body cannot move without the head. The head has the brain box. You know, the head is the engine. So the leadership is very critical to how a business, whether a business is sustainable or whether it is not. We also have a case with Tesla. Of course, we all know that Elon Musk has turned himself into some controversial human being, especially in his last romance or bromance with Trump. And then they fell out. Some of us sat down when that breakup came. Some of us were sitting on Twitter just trying to enjoy the breakup. You know, when people break up, if you are not careful, they'll start saying all the secrets of the other person. So we're waiting. Someone like me, I was enjoying it. But Elon Musk has been able to do something with Tesla, and that has to do with the electric vehicle system that he has been able to put in place. And that has really changed the automotive system industry. How long will that go on? There's still a lot of considerations and a lot of arguments over time. Why? Because of the cost implications and the availability. So when you look at countries, developing countries like Nigeria, I remember seeing a Tesla on Third Mainland Bridge that has run out of power. And it was hilarious like play, because how dare you, in this country that we are managing light and managing electricity and managing gas, you bring a Tesla? You know, but Nigerians, we do great things. We do all sorts, you know. So so they've been able to, you know, and what is the lesson there is that innovation is critical for sustainability. And The ability to also be accountable in all aspects of the business is also very paramount. Because when you begin to practice sustainability, you find out that every single operational entity, every single unit within the operations has to be accountable to a very large extent. So that means as a leader, you must also be able to understand and be able to push that information as much as possible. So this is what we call the Sustainable Leadership Pyramid, SLP. And again, like we said, at the foundation is, managerial focus. That is understanding the system, understanding the issues, the conviction, the personal beliefs, and the values that you have as a leader and those of the organization. And then, of course, being able to also create. So if you look at this slide, I just listed all of them for you, number 1 to 14. So you can impute them, wherever you want to, and be able to say what works, what is work. So if you look at number 21, you're also looking at innovation, staff engagement, quality. Number 1 to 14 is what is here as foundation practice, the things that must be at the foundation. That's where all of these other things will stand upon. So understanding how this pyramid works is also very important for you as a leader, and the ability to do it. When we map sustainable leadership, this is how we map it. So we start from compliance, which is normally where most organizations start from. The regulator says you have to do it, or the industry guides you to do it, and most people do it. Then they move on to being able to manage their costs. Their focus moves from just compliance to being able to manage the cost of this compliance. So they now build efficiency and cost reduction into it. Then as they go up, look at where value begins to happen. Do you see where value begins to happen? Value begins to happen not just for the organization, which is under risk management and their people, but also for every business unit, and then, of course, extension to their supply chain. Again, look at it. Value is at the heart, is at the center of it all. Because if you're creating value, you're also going to be efficient and you're going to reduce costs. Then, of course, they now move to life cycle analysis. Okay, now we've been able to understand this better. Is it possible to have new products that are sustainable products? How do we manage our life cycle analysis in such a way that it is a constant analysis of where we are and what we can do better and how we can innovate? And then that's where the visionary leadership is now at the identity stage. They are now identified as visionary leaders in their space. And this helps them to transform relationships, whether investor relationships, whether stakeholder relationships, whether shareholder relationships as well. So at the end of the day, it's a broad analysis. When we map it, the idea is that for your business ecosystem, your identity becomes one of global best practice, and you're also able to push better relationships. So as leaders, executive students, you are today CEOs. Most of you are the CEOs, most of you are policymakers, most of you are team leaders in your organizations, most of you are entrepreneurs. You are the future torch bearers. And so your action and what you do get to not just to yourself, to your household, to your neighbors, that you understand. You are practicing what you preach. You must be able to advocate sustainability, integrate sustainable practices into all your projects and ventures. Teach your children how to put off the light when they're not using it. Teach people in your house, apart from because of Band-Aid, it is just the right thing to do. If you can, change all your outside lights to solar, those solar bulbs. I think they're 35, 40,000 or so. Those ones that are like floodlights, they come on at when the day is dark. It will save you money. I'm telling you how I'm managing Band-Aid and bandits. And then promote ethical practices. Integrity is a I don't want to say scarce commodity. It is a rare commodity in Nigeria, very rare. In fact, I think we find gold and possibly some other minerals faster than we'll find integrity in Nigeria. It's a big issue, but as sustainable leaders, we want to think about it. We want to think about it very clearly. Who are you and what does your word stand for, both professionally and in your individual life? And then choose impact over gain. Impact, impact, impact. What will be your legacy as a leader? What will be the legacy of the organization? What will be your long-term positive impact? Yes, for businesses, look, like you say, profitability, to keep being valuable, you have to have cash flow. I agree. But you can be profitable while being a sustainable business. Evidence clearly shows to that. So sustainable leadership is about having a sustainable mindset. It's about ensuring that you're placing sustainability issues across sector. Sustainability leadership is at the heart of everything. And it's about leadership development, self-consciousness, and skill development, like what you're doing. You're also developing your skills, developing yourself, but it's also about building a mindset. So this is my last slide, I think so. This is my last slide. Yeah, so this is my last slide. So these questions, while I take your questions as well, I want you to write down those questions. It's just 3. I want you to write it down. What do you think managers and business leaders need to do to protect life on Earth? What can you do to protect life on Earth? We're talking about ensuring that our needs are met, but also that our children's needs and our children's needs are met. What is your personal motivation and conviction on leading sustainably? I didn't ask you for your organization's own, your own, you as a person. And then, what would you like your professional purpose to be about? What would you like your professional purpose to be about? So if I gave you, and I said, write your professional purpose, what would it be? What would you write? So I would like that. I want you to take notes of it. You can take notes of these questions. Have we taken notes of them? And then we can take our questions and answers. So thank you all very much. I will take the questions now. And I hope that with these few words of mine, I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that as sustainable leaders, you can balance people, profit, and planet, but you need to be able to, your values, your beliefs, your daily operations as a leader has to be one that speaks sustainability and able to really help the organizations within which you work to embed sustainability. Thank you, and I will take questions.
Wow. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, I'm sure we've had a wonderful time listening to our speaker for today, Madam Fixer. It's been a wonderful one, and I'm sure everyone has had a wonderful time listening to her. This topic is actually something that's very, very practical. So we're going to delve right into the questions. Ma'am, you can see the virtual claps. Everyone is really giving a standing ovation. And then we had a wonderful time. Okay, quickly, ma'am. I've got 2 questions I'm going to ask before every other person will be sending their questions. Right. Number 1, what frameworks or tools do you recommend for leaders to use to evaluate the trade-offs between the profit, people, and planet in decision making? I'm asking this question bearing in mind what you said, that there is no such thing like work-life balance. You know, and I must have to say you are consistent. You've been consistent in that, because I did a little research about you. As at 2017, you made that same point that there is no such thing as work-life balance. What you have is work-life integration. And here you are saying the same thing again. So now I'm going to ask you, what frameworks or tools do you recommend for leaders to evaluate trade-offs? We know there's no such thing as a balance, but how do we handle the trade-off between profit, people, and planet in decision making? That's number 1. And then number 2, In what ways can leaders address resistance from teams or stakeholders who view sustainability as just a distraction from the daily operations? I mean, another thing, an extra job added to our KPIs and all that. How can leaders handle such resistance from their teams and stakeholders? Thank you so much, ma'am. Sorry, I think you're muted. Sorry.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfectly. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So when we talk about trade-offs, I think that again, trade-offs are decisions that can be made. So an organization can decide that yes, I know my people are important, but for us in this organization, it is profit before people, because if we don't have money, we cannot employ. I'm sure you can read up on that. I might have to read up on it as well. But what are the tools that you can use? I would say it's what is more important. However, we have seen over the years that a lot of leaders have come to the reality that their human resource is more important than every other resource, which means their people are more important than every other resource. So that change has also come into the fact where organizations now provide all sorts of benefits for their employees, just to give the employees a semblance of, like, we value you, where you are very important to us. So I think that the trade-offs will really be dependent on the leaders in the business, and sector-wide, you will also find that it is also dependent. So if you take a construction sector business, for instance, who will be the most important people to that business? Because again, some companies will section employees according to levels of importance and according to what their departments or units feed into the bottom line. So how much money is Nnamdi's department bringing? How much money is Pearl's department bringing? So the trade-offs are dependent really on the leaders and the organizations. Now, when I talk about integration, for me, in the organization and in the personal life, it is about understanding that as you go up the leadership ladder, there is no balance. The ability to be able to integrate life and integrate business is also what you use within the business to integrate people, integrate the profits, and integrate the planet, which means integrate your human resource, ensure you are meeting the needs of your shareholders, and at the same time, you have the license to operate. So that's the way I would look at it. And then the second question was what? I don't know if I answered that second question.
Yes, yeah, the second question is, how do you handle resistance from your teams? Then the stakeholders who view sustainability as a threat or distraction from daily operations?
It is about how you advocate for it. So for instance, when you are doing your sustainability strategy, you would have already done your gap analysis. Your gap analysis will indicate to you that your stakeholders, some part of, first of all, stakeholder management, stakeholder identification, stakeholder management is very, very important. You must have identified who are your stakeholders, and then you put them into box. Important, not very important. Stay informed, not necessary. You put them into boxes, and you know, for your regulators, for example, they must know what you're doing at any given point in time. Now, when you've done that identification and analysis of your stakeholders during your gap analysis, that will help you know which people should you begin to sell to before you even begin to do anything. So those ones you would have advocated to them to say, this is what sustainability means for us. It means that every initiative that we do in your community, for example, we are not just going to bring a transformer and come and put in your community. system that uses solar. It is a huge investment for us, but because we are thinking of a more sustainable way, that you people do not need to, after some time, the transformer may die, NEPA may not come and check it, and then you will not have no light. We are looking at, by the time you are able to get their buy-in, the same thing will happen if, for example, you are an organization that works to acquiring lands and you need to do what we call resettlement and reintegration. You have to do the work beforehand. So when you're talking sustainability, the people understand it in the light of what it means to them. We used to do a lot of work for the Niger Delta communities. And a lot of people used to wonder, upon all the community relations, upon all the money that all these oil companies used to put in these communities, they will still kidnap their people. It was simply because there was a gap in the stakeholder relation. The companies felt that by the time they give the chiefs money, give the market women, they were not engaging the communities themselves directly. So an oil and gas firm goes into a community and say, oh, there's no drinkable water in this community. And I'm giving you a live example of what we worked in when we did a gap analysis and then an impact assessment. They go in and decide that they want to put a huge water tank. And they don't understand why the people don't value it. They are not fetching the water. Why? Because the women want to go to the next village to fetch water. That is the only time they're away from their husband. That's the only time they can gossip. That's the only time they can hear the latest village gist of who is sleeping with who, whose child just get belle, and they don't know the papa. All those gists, the women needed it. And it was a big issue because a lot of money was spent. So we went in there to say, okay, what is the problem? And we found out that what they wanted was just a clinic, a small place where the women can deliver, because they had a large group of local midwives. And when we did that analysis for them, we said to the company, you know what? This is what these people want instead of the water that you think that they want. They prefer to go long distance to carry their water. You think you are making life easy for them, but they don't want that. So why don't you do a clinic? And we said to them, in addition, say to the community, give us 5 of your midwives every year. We'll take them to Port Harcourt, to the School of Midwifery, and train them. And the rule is that they must come back. We will pay them for 2 years until the community clinic is established in such a way that people in the community can begin to pay them for just delivery. You have no idea the impact assessment we did after that. You have no idea the changes. So when we talk about resistance, it is simply because organizations still want to do it their way. They understand stakeholder engagement in a different way from what exactly stakeholder. That's why I say that engaging stakeholder relations in Nigeria might be different from the way you engage it in Sierra Leone or in Liberia or in Ethiopia, for instance. So being able to work with the mechanics of the environment within which you operate is extremely very important. And that's the only way you can take off this gap of resistance. Once people understand that it's for their own good, and you send it to them as something they can use, trust me, they will be the one. In fact, they will gather the money for you instead of you. Your company will bring what we call just extra funds. They will be the one to own it, because ownership also becomes very important when we talk about sustainability. Even in organizations, we say it, ownership. If the different units cannot own it because they don't understand how does it relate to accounting, how does it relate to credit risk, how does it relate to risk management, what do I need sustainability in my environmental risk management system, why do I need sustainability in customer service units, why do I need it in dealing with distributors, for instance, that are distributing our products? So I think that that's very important.
All right.
I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, perfectly, ma'am. Perfectly. Okay, we have some questions. I'll be taking them. Colleagues, please, you can be dropping your questions so that we can ask our speaker so that she can answer those questions for you. I have a question from Olushola Onajobi. He said, how can tech companies in Nigeria leverage AI to drive corporate sustainability by reducing energy consumption, optimizing resource use, and ensuring ethical practices while still addressing gaps in regulation, infrastructure, and digital equity? I don't know if I got that, ma'am.
I do, but the question long, I don't go too much school like that. What I can say to you is, we have seen what AI is doing. We've seen the use of blockchain in managing data and the ability to synthesize data. We've seen what AI is doing in terms of robotics and the different ways in which it's being used. We see the interface that is happening now and the innovation. So if you look at ChatGPT currently has ChatGPT 5. And what it does is thinking like a long-end researcher. See, I love technology because when I was doing my DBA research, so we had collected a lot of data from the field. I did a comparative analysis on corporate governance in the public sector between Nigeria and Ghana. And you know what that means? Getting public sector data, public sector information, using like 4 different sectors of the economy. I wanted to die. When the data now came, for 2 weeks, my brain was fried. I was just saying something to somebody and somebody said, no, use Alpha AI, be something like that. I said, Alpha AI, waiting be that. He said, you just dump the data and then it will bring it out. I say, and that, see, what would have taken like 3 months of, I worked with NVivo, InVivo, whatever they call it. Alpha AI synthesized my data, gave me tables, helped me to break down the percentages. So I was able to get data of Ghana has a higher corporate governance percentage than Nigeria, clearly defined. This one is not that I hypothesize, it is there in data. So AI, the way and manner that people can use AI, depending information technology has changed the way we do things. So yes, we can use it in how we relate with other businesses. We can use it in the way we synthesize information. We can use it in the way we sell information, even give out the information that we want to give. I hope that answers. Just a few minutes.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. Okay. Trying to see. Colleagues, if you have a question you want to speak out, you can also raise your hand and then you'll be unmuted so that you can ask your question. Right? Okay, I'm trying to pick up another question from what we have. The chats are rolling in. Okay, just a minute. Try to see. Does anybody have a question? You can raise your hand so that okay, someone is asking, that's God knows. God knows is asking, how can businesses measure success beyond profits to include people and the planet? I know you mentioned something like that when you were speaking.
I like that question. So one of the ways I would say, again, looking from my years of experience as a consultant, would be, what is the attrition rate of the company? Do you understand what attrition rate is? How long are people staying in the organizations? How long are they living? There are organizations that they change accountants. If you check, the organization is 10 years. They have 10 accountants. One year. Once the person manage 1 year, it don't run. There are people that have stayed in the organization. I have staff that have stayed with Thesis Practice for the 15 years that Thesis Practice has been in existence. They started with us. Some others spent 7 years, 8 years. They moved on to other things. They want to work somewhere else and all of that. So one good way would be to check the attrition rate of the company, because a good place, people will stay. There are also places that people stay because they are able to hide their incompetence. So don't mix it up. It has to be the ability to be able to say, this is a good place to work. Another way to measure would be, again, how innovative has the company been over the years, or how innovative is the company trying to be? I think that those would be good ways to measure beyond profit, because some organizations, they make a lot of profit. But if you ask them, if you ask the people that have left that company about that company, they say, my brother leave. If I begin talk, we not go finish for you. Once you hear that, you know that water don't pass Gary. But you also, again, I always put a caveat, also recognize if that person is a person, because there are some people, they change jobs. They like to change job. 50,000 salary, they will change. 25,000 salary, they will change. They like to move like that. So you need to be able to balance that conversation. But I mean, those would be my two quick ways.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Benedict is asking, Benedict Chioma Blessing, she's asking, in recognizing that people is the heart of the organization, isn't work-life balance necessarily to avoid burnout? So circling back to what you said about work-life balance and work-life integration.
I can see her question. Benedict, I want to ask you, is your life balanced as you are like this? Let's be truthful. See, my life is not balanced though. This morning I left home at 7. I had to attend a workshop. I was at that workshop, did some few work. I have to start running back. Meanwhile, I slept at 3 because I had to finish. Decided to leave 2 weeks ago. So you see, there's no balance. Like even normal, we say it, life no balance. For me, the difference, and I see your second question, yes, people used to say it in order to avoid burnout. But for me, work-life integration has actually helped me to avoid burnout. Because, for example, and that's where the idea around technology comes, because technology in terms of WhatsApp, we have a phone, you could call. In those days, you could not call, you will wait until you reach out. If you enter Lagos traffic, by the time you reach out, you have to remove frozen soup. You will not eat, you will cook Indomie. Those days where there's no Indomie to eat, you will drink Gary. So you see, whichever way you want to look at it, it's being able to integrate your life. Those few minutes I can run to the toilet and say, Esther, remove the okra soup. Also remove stew, boil rice. And we get home around 7. It has helped. When Miriam comes back from school, do this, do that. It helps you. So your work-life balance means that when you're out of work, that's when you have time for your children. That's not how it's supposed to be. There are days you come back from work, you're really tired, your children still want to play. Your ability to integrate your life also helps you to stay present in your children's life, even when you are at work. What is the difference between work-life balance and work-life integration? And is work-life integration sustainable in all sectors? Somebody put the definition of both in this place. Go back and read it, or Google can be your friend. Work-life integration is complementary. So I want you to, somebody put that definition. I saw it while I was scrolling and I thought, thank you, well done. Who is the person? You put that definition, if you can put it back again, so that Benedict can see it. Benedict, integrate your life so that you will not burn out.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Dapo has his hand up, I think so.
Yes, I want to unmute. We are unmuting Dapo, so that's okay. Dapo, please, you have the floor. Please speak.
Okay. Thank you, madam, for this presentation. It's so insightful. So I'll be very brief with my question. So how can one come up with a sustainability framework in order to be a sustainability champion for the organization?
Okay, good question, Dapo. So first of all, do your management understand that there's something called sustainability? That's where you start from. You can do a survey in-house. Do you know what sustainability is? Do you know what it means for our business? Start in-house, and then you will now. So I always say to people, always do a gap analysis. What is the gap? Is it gap in knowledge? Is it gap in implementation? Is it gap in the sector? So do a gap analysis, first of all, in your organization to say, do people even understand what does it mean for our business? Do you understand what I mean? So I'll give you I have a bakery, and it's a small bakery. And I've been trying to integrate, because I'm a sustainability person. I eat, sleep, drink sustainability. It's just that the way that the way I set my Zoom link, there's no light on inside this room that I am. There's no single light on, only the fan is on in this room that I am. So I said to them in the bakery that, how do we bake sustainably with cutting out waste? Because one of the biggest problems in the bakery industry is waste. Especially if people do not buy. A lot of people like fresh bread. If you're a bakery, they want to come in, buy either hot steaming bread or today's bread. How do we? So we, instead of baking 50 loaves of bread one time, we bake 20 loaves twice a day. I don't know if you understand. So we don't have leftovers. If we have leftovers at all, maybe the morning bread will remain like 3 or 4. And people normally will buy, because most of them have come to realize now, we say to them, if you want sliced bread, it has to be cold for 6 hours or 8 hours before we can slice it. If not, it will crumble. If you want hot bread, we'll give it to you like agege bread. We don't do agege, we do butter bread. We'll give it to you like that. So in the simplification of things, you must find out in your own organization, what does this mean for us? From there, you can now begin to build this framework. What is a framework? A framework is a model of operation. How will we operate? What time would generator come on? What time will inverter stay? Things like that. Okay, everybody must leave the office at 6 p.m. when the inverter goes off, so that when light comes in the evening, it can charge the inverter. We're not going to put on the generator because of diesel. It has to be simplified to what this means to you as an organization. I hope that helps, Dapo.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. I'm going to unmute Olayinka. Olayinka has a question. Okay, Olayinka, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, ma. Coincidentally, I also believe in sustainability, and I've been into calibration for quite a number of years now. But looking at our immediate environment, how do we transmit sustainability into Nigerian civil service? I see that as a big issue. And I know that this also rubs on private organizations. I know you understand what I'm saying, whereby at everything, it is their own. That concept, it is their own. You go to a bakery and you tell them they have to calibrate. They will say, it is Oga. If Oga wants, it's what he tells us. You go to an hotel. It's how do we get this message? Because once everybody owns the process, the country is better off. And I know that everybody listening to me, nobody wants to enter a plane that is not calibrated. And the pilot will not say he's the owner of the business. So I just don't know. How do we, from your experience, how best do you think we can drive this message, especially in civil service, which is the core of, is the core base of Nigerian system? Thank you.
Okay, so when my research is published, I will absolutely, it will be with the RBSN, and I hope that they can share it with the executive students and the MBA students, because I think that some of the research work that the DBA students are doing are really, a lot of them are focused, beautiful research. I've seen some, one of the doctoral students did a research on the paint industry in Nigeria. And I thought it was amazing. It was really, really, I've never really thought about that industry. And it was really amazing. So I think that you need to read. So my research really was on corporate governance in the public and public sector. It was public sector. That's one area that is rarely written about, because for you to get data, you will nearly die. I can't tell you for free. And it is a big issue. Your concern is a big issue. But here we are talking about sustainable leadership. Every single thing you see in the Nigerian civil service is from leadership. It's from leadership. Why is the Ghanaian civil service different? I lived in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, for 10 years. And when people only think about Addis Ababa in terms of, oh, they had famine one time, I laugh. Because that's a functioning country, functioning to the T. This one that they want to repair, Ogudu Road, people have to suffer, as in people suffer 5 hours, 6 hours in traffic, all because you want to repair a portion of road. Why don't you do it overnight? In Ethiopia, you wake up and see a stretch of road. I'm not kidding. 500 kilometers of road done in the evening. They don't stop traffic. They don't stop work. They don't make life miserable for people. So it is leadership. And it is just apt that we're talking about sustainable leadership. Sustainable leadership is about changing the dynamics of how things are done. Sustainable leadership is about being true to ourselves. Sustainable leadership is using resources for what they are meant to be, to make the lives of the wider ecosystem better. For you to get the civil service to work the way that you want, will almost need military alacrity. There are civil servants that I remember in 10 years ago, I needed to do some work in Abuja. First of all, the floor I had to go to was the 8th floor. There was no lift in that building. And I was pregnant with my retirement baby. I had a baby 20 years after my last child. So old woman carrying pregnancy, climbed 8th floor. In fact, that I did not end up ambulance bringing me down was grace of God. They had to carry me down. Some men carried me like a wheelbarrow. They carried me downstairs. By the time I got to the 8th floor, there was nobody in the office. At 10 a.m. in the morning, you're all laughing. I was there till 2. They did not show. They say, why? The lift is off, so they too cannot climb up. That's the civil service. How do you change that? It is mindset. It is leadership. So my brother, think leadership. Let's leave civil service, Nigeria's civil service for now. As we say in Nigeria, God will help us. It is well. Even in the well, it is well. Olayinka, I hope that helps. But it is about leadership. It's about leadership. It's about leadership. Okay, one question here from Faith. In environments where system non-compliance is often rationalized, how can one enforce control effectively while preserving positive working relationships and avoiding hostility? So again, I'll bank it on leadership. And I always say that there are different styles of leadership. And the ability to use different styles of leadership depending on critical. Many leaders want to be liked. You must be able to deploy different leadership styles depending on what you find yourself. And in some cases, there might be reasons for hostilities and there might be reasons for conflict. However, you need to bear in mind what culture originally operates. I teach a class on culture. And you know this say that, oh, culture eats strategy for breakfast. I don't believe in it. It's only if the strategy is not strategizing that culture will eat it for. But there's nothing like that. You decide what the culture of the organization will be, and you decide how the strategy will be carried out. Change management is about ensuring that culture does not eat strategy for breakfast, because either your strategy is not well defined or is not strategizing. So Faith, I will say to you, first, what are your leadership styles? You might need to deploy more leadership styles to be able to get compliance. Is the rationalization of non-compliance hurting? Positive conflicts that create enabling change. You must always look forward to positive conflict that creates enabling change, and be able to use it to be able to redefine the system, rework the system. And in most cases, you might need to put a full change management process in place, which means some people need to go. There are some people that are demons in some organizations. They have stayed there 10 years. They don't do the work. They don't allow other people to do the work. And fire them. Don't say because the person has been there for 10 years, if he's a hindrance to the business, you are not ice cream. As a leader, what is good for the business and what is good that makes every other person comfortable to do the work? Okay, I think there's a question.
Yes.
Well,
Let me unmute.
I don't Chiamaka, I don't tire.
Let's just Anolu about the last time.
Okay, go ahead.
Anolu, please, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. I really appreciate your time and wisdom. Good afternoon, House. Good afternoon, Mr. Nnamdi.
Good afternoon.
I want to first of all make a comment regarding your research, your DBA research, because I noted that question. I work with public service, and corporate people in public service have always been on my mind in terms of entrepreneurship. Some people are entrepreneurial, but the system, the way the system is. So now when you said leave public service for now, man, it looks like my dream is being. So I need your wisdom in that regard, because I believe that the people that will change, in fact, I so much believe, even though I don't have any research or proof, I believe that public servants or civil servants own Nigeria, and change in public service or civil service is change in Nigeria. The change we're looking for, well, maybe with the people at the grassroots, but it's more with public service and civil service. So my question, ma, is this: can we talk sustainability without touching mentorship and coaching? Because I'm always of the opinion that success without successors is failure. Is it possible to talk about sustainability when you're talking people and planets and the people that are supposed to continue this sustainability, because it's the people that will do it? So is mentoring, coaching, what place does it have? And permit me, permit me also to state that personally, it's one of the things I'm looking forward to doing. I take entrepreneurship to elementary schools. That's one of the things I do, because I believe that university is late. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we lost her. Okay, so great. So see, madam, I hear you, and I think that like you said, the change for the public sector has to come from within. It has to come from public servants that have come in. I'm not sure that the ones that have been there forever, the ones that have come in now, the ones that see the need for change, they are the ones that will drive the change. People like yourself, they are the ones that will say we could do things differently. I see a number of private sector people coming into the public sector. However, you find out that what typically happens is that when you come in from the private sector, you are used to rules and regulation, you are used to a way of doing things. You come into the public sector, the public servants will frustrate your life until you dance to their tune. So there are certain groups of civil servants that need to do the work change. That change has to come from within. And I think that, again, like I said, it is also a matter of leadership. Please take it from me. It is a matter of leadership. There has to be a leadership that shows zero tolerance for certain things. You will find out that some people, when a new administrator comes into the civil service agency and decides to come to work at 7 a.m., our resumption time is 7:30, and comes to work at 7 a.m. and says people must resume at 7:30, they will frustrate his life. At some point, gone, let me say it in Yoruba. In fact, by the time they finish with it, now you go back in load, run. It is so entrenched in the way they want to do their things, the way they feel that they want to do their things. So it has to be leadership that has zero tolerance. Like I said, leadership that is not afraid to clean out the entire civil service and let's start afresh. Even if we will lose records, it will take a strong focus to be able to, first of all, look at too many case studies, my sister. One of my beautiful case studies that I'm still looking at, I'm watching, is NIPOST. I don't need to say more than that. You too, go and be looking at NIPOST. There's been a bit of change with the new DG or whatever coming in, but why can't we integrate NIPOST with new technology? Why is it so difficult? I give you another example. Our NIN and BVN, how many times have you done NIN? Me, I've done it like 4 times. So I sure die. When I want to renew my passport, they will tell me to go again. We don't have the record anywhere. What is happening? If you ask now, they'll say, oh, the record is somewhere. It is. I think a few weeks ago, you could not, what am I saying? In July precisely, for the whole of July, you could not register a new SIM card because the NIN platform was down. What are we talking about? So I want you as executive business leaders to think about this in your class. You see, the only way we can change is when groups of thinkers sit.
Oh, I think we lost Madam Anene.
Of leaders like yourself that will get this thing going. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Have I been logged out?
Yes, ma'am.
Was I logged out?
Yes, you were. We lost you for some seconds, but I think you're back now. I think we'll begin to round up right now. Oh. Okay, I think she's out. Hello, ma'am, can you hear me? Okay, sorry, colleagues. While we wait for our speaker to rejoin, please, we won't be taking any further questions because we're running out of time. Okay, ma'am, you're back. Yes,
so yes, I'm back. So I hope
please.
that answers, madam. And honestly, I look forward to supporting your work. I like to support the public sector. I mean, I did 1 year in Abuja. My eyes saw.
Wow, I think the network is really acting at the moment. Okay, colleagues, while we wait for her to rejoin, I think the network is a little bit acting, but while we wait for her to rejoin, we want to really appreciate every one of us for coming in. We're going to hold on for just her last words before we invite Mr. Ido to give us the closing remarks. I want to thank every one of us for joining on board. I think Madam is back. Okay, she's back.
I have
okay,
no
ma'am, welcome back.
idea what is going on.
Yes, the network is acting. Sorry about that. Okay, ma'am, we can have your last words now. Just a final word of encouragement as we wrap up.
Okay, so again, for me, one of the things that I always say that it is always sweet and nice for us to talk about sustainability, talk about leadership, talk about all of that. How are you as a person leading? How are you leading? Talk is cheap. So evidence-based leadership is what is very important. Are you truly a sustainable leader? Let's leave leadership in its entirety, how you lead yourself, because if you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others. If you can't show example of how you are living sustainably, you are just talking. So how you lead, how you influence others for the greater good, how do you influence some of us want to get on the big stage without first influencing the people that are around us. What do the people around you say about the way and manner, your own ethical, moral compass? If you were presented with an ethical concern, would people be say, no, Nnamdi, forget it. Even if you carry his something and Nnamdi will not agree. Is that what people say about you? Or I say, oh, everybody has a price. You put the right price on the table, everybody will pay. We need to be conscious in our own circles of influence, because that's the only way we can change Nigeria. What are you doing in your circle of influence? I will never let my driver drive one way. We fight every day and we die on it. He will be murmuring, now we have been in this traffic for 8 hours. The people that pass straight, they have gone already. We will stay there because me, I cannot beg anybody. And I don't want them to tow my car. And I cannot begin to say, sir, please, sir. Okay, sir. Yes, I can't. I am that arrogant. So let's stand here. We will sleep inside the traffic. If we finish, we park the car and we walk on third. He said, man, you will walk on third main line. I said, we reach. Maybe I have slippers in the car and we walk on third main line. I just need to tie my hair in such a way that nobody will know that this one is a serious human being. We walk on that third main line bridge. We have to learn to do the right things in our own corners of influence. And it's important. If we don't, we will all complain. We will all talk. But we are the problems. You cannot be a true leader and a sustainable leader until you yourself, your word becomes your bond, and your life, the way you even walk in the company that you work. People who work with me will tell you, I don't like excuses, because after now, they have abused me that this one, she does not have children. That's why she does not understand. The children God gave you, you use it as an excuse every single day. Now let you born. I don't understand. Work in such a way that your work speaks for you. You are a reliable employee. You are an employee that even if you leave the organization, the company will be crying 10 years after you left. They will say, if only Nnamdi was still here. That's the way we should work. I hope we've enjoyed ourselves this year. It's a pleasure having a fantastic time with all of you this afternoon. I look forward to seeing you all someday in class, hopefully.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. It has been, in fact, you can see the virtual claps again. It has been an awesome time. We've all had a wonderful time listening to you. And if not for the time, I mean, we could go on and on and on, questions and all that. Thank you so much, ma'am. Dear colleagues, this is where we're going to round off this session. Madam Nnamdi Abimbola is also on LinkedIn, so you could search her out on LinkedIn and connect with her, right? It's been a wonderful time. So from here, I want to say thank you to the executive management of the school. Thank you for every one of us for joining this call for this session. I'll be handing over right now to Mr. Idowu Adeleke to round off finally. Thank you from here.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Idowu Adeleke.
First of all,
not yet, Ma. We would like to first appreciate you, Ma, for your time, and then for the wonderful presentation. And then Mr. Nnamdi would also like to appreciate you for moderating this section. It's been an awesome time. And I believe that the students and the prospects on this call would also agree with me that it's been a very insightful one. I'm just here to give a little bit of information about what the students are supposed to be aware of. Okay, so for the students on this call, this is the time you need to make sure that you're on the WhatsApp group, you've done your documentation for the VIE, and then you're ready. The calendar for the program will soon be out, and it will be sent to your respective groups. And then you need to familiarize yourself with the calendar and then plan appropriately for the program. Now, for the prospects on this call, September happens to be a very unique month. It's the last month before the start of the intake. Okay, so for those that are still contemplating, for those that are still checking, this is the time you need to make up your mind and join the October 2025 intake. Now, also for our information, it is very important for us to know that for prospects on this call, that there is a price increase for the April 2026 intake. So you may want to reconsider your plan in joining the next intake and then consider joining the October 2025 intake. So thank you again for your time. That will be all from me. Do well to have a wonderful day. Before I go, the next event for the Business Leadership Development Program is the VLE workshop, right? And that will be on Friday, the 12th of September. Please join that workshop. It will be an insightful one, teaching you how to navigate on your student portal. So it's very important that you are in that workshop. All right, thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your time today. And for those of you that have not filled the survey, please try as much as possible to fill the survey, because I could see a lot of people requesting for the slides and recording. Please try to fill the survey so we can share the recording and the slides to you.
Please,